Hi, marketing girlies. Welcome back to another episode of Marketing Girly by Sky Society. Today, we're going to talk all about marketing, portfolio, aesthetic, and design, which I'm really excited about. I'm going to give you girls some advice and tips when it comes to creating a portfolio that you feel like represents you in a creative way. So, super excited to talk all about that. I feel like this is really timely because we have a bunch of students graduating from Sky Society Accelerator today, which is our experience building marketing boot camp for women. So I'm so excited for all of them. And I just finished doing portfolio reviews with the girls, and they looked absolutely incredible. And I wanted to share some advice for building your portfolios. So we're going to jump into that. Before we do, I want to get back on giving some general life and Sky Society updates when I do my solo episodes. It's kind of my time to sit down and chat with you girls. So, little update. I can't remember if I said this on a past episode, but we moved into our office and Austin was just so excited. So, I really wanted to get a physical office, like an in person office for the Sky Society team. It's something that I had wanted for years. And all of the hires that we made at Sky Society over this last year, I made sure they were all Austin based, even though we didn't have an office at the time. So, fun fact is that the team, we would meet up at Soho House and work there as like our makeshift office. The staff really got to know us very well. And early at the start of this year, I knew I wanted to build get an office for us. It was on my vision board, and I started the search. It was the most insane search ever. If you've gone through that process, if anybody has, I certainly had it. I didn't know it would be filled with lots of highs and lows, lots of landlords that act in ways that you wouldn't totally suspect. But the short story of it all is that I fell in love with multiple places that didn't fall through, and I was feeling super defeated at the end of the search. And very last minute, this property that we were currently at came available, and we were the very first people to see it, and I put in an offer that day and ended up getting the place, which was so exciting. And the reason I share this is because on my vision board, when I put that I wanted to get an office for Sky Society, the picture that I put, because I just found pictures on Pinterest, but the picture that I put of the office that I wanted to get looks almost identical to the office that we actually have now. It's a historic home. It's gorgeous. It doesn't feel like an office. That was my goal, getting an office. It's a home with a pool with fireplace. Like, it truly doesn't feel like an office, which makes it so special. And it looks exactly like what I put on my vision board. So, a little story there on manifestation, and all of those other, places that I had fallen in love with that didn't work out were meant to not work out for a reason, because it led us to truly a dream office. So, just a reminder that things that aren't meant for you sometimes look like no's in the moment, but are truly leading you to where you're supposed to be. And I feel so happy that we're in this office. So if you want to see more about our office, more about the Sky Society team, we've been posting on Instagram. We do little office updates on our stories every Monday, and I'm trying to post more about it in feed as well. So that's a little update here. And it's really just been kind of an insane journey trying to furnish this place. So it's a work in progress, but having lots of fun. All right. That's my update for you girls today. Let's talk about portfolios, because that's what I know you girls are here to listen about. So, portfolios. So, in the accelerator, if you've seen any of our students' portfolios, I'm actually the one that I've designed all of those templates. Now, a lot of the girls take those templates and make it completely their own, and that is 100% their work. They are so creative, but all of the core templates were designed by me. I felt a bit frustrated with the options available for portfolio templates that I found on various websites, builders like Wix, Squarespace, Canva. I didn't feel like they were genuine. They felt almost like AI had just made a template. And so the everything from the format to the design to how it flows is really geared towards attracting a hiring manager's attention and really showcasing what you are capable of in a work setting. And so the portfolios that you see your students create are super expressive. And the reason is because they balance it out with a very professional portfolio. So we teach you in the accelerator how to create a very professional resume so you can be very expressive with your portfolio. Now, there is a balance when it comes to having a portfolio with lots of design and personality, because at the end of the day, when an employer is looking at your portfolio, they are also using it as a way to imagine the type of work and the aesthetic that you would bring to their role. So if your portfolio is super, we'll say, for example, super gothic, like very gothic, dark, extreme, that's what you love, that's your aesthetic, and you're applying to a job at Apple, for example, they might disqualify you because of how much of a stark difference your aesthetic is versus what their vision is for the brand. So I always like to have you girls keep that in mind, where I do want you to be able to be expressive, but also just knowing that companies are using this as a barometer for the type of stuff that you're able to create. So you also want to balance that out and make sure that you are also still kind of walking that line between professionalism and creativity. So that's really what we go. I mean, I could spend a lot of time talking about that. I won't. That's what the accelerator is for, but I just want to bring that up as a reminder. Also, when it comes to creating the design elements, I get a lot of inspo from Pinterest, as most girls do. But I find that if you search for portfolio inspo on Pinterest, it really sucks. Like, I feel like there's not a lot of great options. So usually I like to more so look for like social or brand inspo. And I use like inspo for brands to inspire what the templates look like in the portfolios, also with what's trending right now. So like a lot of our girls' portfolios, when like, the airport bin was trending, we did a lot of like those elements, having like digital cameras in them. And so thinking about what's trending right now and not just looking for portfolio inspo, because the reality is a lot of it, aside from the Sky Society portfolios, really aren't that innovative or creative. And so usually when I'm going to Pinterest, I'm not looking up portfolio inspo, I'm looking up brand inspo. The other place that I go to get inspo from are the websites of my favorite brands. I feel like sometimes it's a reframe to think about your portfolio is your website for your brand. So just like you go to shop at Dairy Boy and you go to their website for their brand, you need to think about your website like a website like Dairy Boy. That's your portfolio. It's a website. So you wanted to also kind of have that feel. That's also where that professionalism comes in. And that's a lot of what we also teach is being creative while also kind of staying within those boundaries of what makes a cohesive design, what makes something genuinely feel like a brand. A lot goes into that, but a lot of that is consistency. It's actually having a overall aesthetic and theme and executing it consistently throughout your portfolio. So really thinking about yourself as a brand, your portfolio is the expression of that. It's your brand website. Okay, if you were a company, this is your website, thinking of it that way. And so when you're going to look for inspo, go look at your favorite brands, look at your favorite websites and start there. I think that's a really great place to start. So those are kind of my two tips for you. If you're like, I want to create a portfolio, but I want it to feel like me, but I don't really know where to go for inspo. You're going to go to Pinterest. You're going to look up different brands. You're going to kind of go down some rabbit holes there. And then you're also going to go to your favorite websites and you're going to see what they do that's really well. Another other couple little tricks. So if you're building your portfolio in Canva, a trick I like to do, I can't show this to you, especially if you're listening to this episode, so I'll try to high level walk you through it. But if you find an element that you like in Canva, a sticker, a frame, an element, when you click on it, you'll see that you can hit the like three little dots. Okay. And you can go down and you can click on see more, like, or more details. It'll tell you more details about that element. And then it'll give you an option to click see more like this. It'll also tell you what the element is named and like the descriptor words that that designer used to describe that element. So you can then go search those key terms into Canva and find more elements like that. A lot of girls will kind of ask me like, okay, like, like, do you have any tips for finding stickers or finding elements for your portfolio? Like I found a couple that I like, but I'm struggling to find more and I'm not really sure what to search. That's my biggest tip. Once you have one that you like, you're going to click on those three little dots. You're going to go to see more details. And then there you're going to see more information about that design. You'll see the designer info. You'll see keywords they used, and you'll get to click see more like this. That will show you other elements similar to that. And again, this goes into creating that cohesive design. Okay. I also want to say I do have some students in the accelerator make maximalist portfolios, and they are so gorgeous. But I also know for some of us that might feel out of reach and not like something that you know how to execute well. The first thing I'll say is challenge yourself. You definitely can. The second is that I will say I love a minimalist portfolio just as much as I love a maximalist. Just because your design has white space does not mean it's a bad design. Again, I'm going to tell you, go back to your favorite websites. They have white space. They're not all filled with words and images everywhere you go. Okay. There is white space on there. That's normal. I also love a clean girl aesthetic, that portfolio that doesn't have a lot of elements. It's really just focusing on the work. And I think that is also an incredible approach to take. So don't feel this immense pressure to make this one of a kind portfolio that has this insane design and theme that nobody's ever thought of, because it's also okay to have a minimalist portfolio and let your work speak for itself. All right. So take a little bit of the pressure off. That can really help you as well when you're going into designing and not feeling like yours needs to be full with something on every single corner of every single page. All right. Now, my other tip when it comes to getting inspo for designing your portfolio is you can definitely look at Sky Society portfolios for inspo as well. But the other thing is to stop looking to everybody else to determine what you should create. Because if you're, trying to emulate somebody else's design, you're not going to be creating something original. And I definitely think there's power in having examples to look at and drawing inspiration. But at the end of the day, you need to create something that's for you, that feels like you, that feels true to you. And the only way you can really accomplish that is if you stop looking at everybody else's portfolio and you really start to think about yours and how you want yours to look. And just play around with Canva, play around with whatever website builder that you're using, and feel confident in what you've done, I think is super helpful. So those are honestly my biggest tips when it comes to getting inspo for your portfolios. You definitely can search, Sky City has so much amazing inspo I hope that you will use to inspire your portfolio. But at the end of the day, it has to come from you. And at the end of the day, too, you're going to struggle with building a portfolio if you feel like you don't even know what to put inside of it or you don't know where to start. So having that experience to put in it also matters just as much as what that design looks like. And something that I get asked a lot too is what matters more, the design, the aesthetic of the portfolio, or the work and the results that you put inside of it. And I'm a big believer that they are genuinely equally as important. Okay. You need to have that good looking portfolio because that's just going to build trust with an employer immediately when they can see that you have that eye for design. However, if you just have an aesthetic portfolio, but it doesn't have the work to back it up, then it doesn't really need much. So you need to have both. But at the end of the day, your results truly, truly matter so much. So don't forget about that in your pursuit of building a pretty portfolio. Your portfolio also needs to perform. You need both. All right. So, usually the advice I give on building portfolios is don't start with the design, start with the substance, start with what you want to put in there, the format that you want, the layout that you want. I've done other episodes on that before, but you want to start with that. And then once you have the work in there, because that's honestly the hardest part, it's going back to your past roles, thinking what you want to put, where you want to put, how you want to organize it. Do that first, and then play with the design. And then have fun with the inspo. It's also going to be easier once you have the work in there because if you try to start with design, you don't really know what you need yet because your work isn't in there yet. So start with that and then play with the design. And then the other thing that I always like to say is that your design isn't finished once you publish your portfolio. Your portfolio is a living, breathing piece of art. It's going to change over time. It's going to change as you change. And once you have it published, like your goal should be to publish it as soon as possible. Because if you are a perfectionist and you wait until that design is perfectly, perfectly perfect, it's going to be months before you publish your portfolio. And you're going to be applying to jobs and no one's going to see all of this. I would rather you girls get it done. I would rather you girls have it published and then play around with the design over time, work on it slowly. But it's better to have it out there than wait for it to be perfect. Because if you wait for it to be perfect, then you're just missing out on a lot of opportunities that your portfolio could have allowed you to stand out for. And now, since you're not using it, you don't have it. So those are my thoughts when it comes to the design and aesthetic of your portfolio. And then I'm kind of going to leave you with some last little a checklist item if you want to do a little audit of your portfolio and the design to make sure that it's looking good. So the first is that you have consistent margins across every page of your portfolio. The second is that the font size for every type of text style is consistent throughout your portfolio. The third is that your color scheme is set to a set number of colors. You've picked out those colors and it's consistent throughout your entire portfolio. And then the fourth is that the way that you structure the work, like the formatting of that, it can definitely vary, but it needs to have parallels throughout every single page so that it feels like that website that we want it to feel. All right, that's my last little checklist item for you girls there. If you have any other questions on portfolios, I absolutely let's talk about them. So please let me know. You can post it in the comment of this episode, or you can let me know on TikTok or LinkedIn. And I love talking about it. I'm a huge believer in portfolios are genuinely the future. Everybody has a resume. Your portfolio, specifically for my marketing girlies, this is a marketing career podcast. Your portfolio is essential in your marketing career. You absolutely need one. And I'm excited for you to build one if you haven't yet. And if you have, I hope that this advice is really helpful in helping you clarify your design. All right, marketing girlies, that is it for this week. Short and sweet. I'll be back again in my next solo episode with some more fun office updates, hopefully. And I hope you girls have an amazing rest of your day.